Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League. Yeah, it's looking bleaker by the day. The second this game became a live service, looter shooter, generic kind of experience, that's when Suicide Squad essentially committed suicide. Critic reception, as I've mentioned before, has been meager. User reception has been less than stellar. On OpenCritic, only 18% of critics recommended. On Steam, not a whole lot of reviews, and it's still at a mostly positive review score, surprisingly. I guess those who play the game are having a good enough time, but obviously, judging by the number of reviews, not a whole lot of people are checking this game out. And the fact that this game is still at full price, $70 for the base game and then $100 for the Digital Deluxe Edition at this stage, given its poor sales. It surprised me that this game hasn't gone on sale yet, but, I guess that's a choice that Warner Brothers can make if they want to continue seeing player numbers dwindle, which is precisely what's been happening. Looking at Steam charts, you can see that the player numbers, it's just, at mid to low triple digits at this point. We're seeing the player numbers sort of fluctuate from the low hundreds to the mid hundreds. Just not that long ago, they were at like 236 players. This is an unsustainable live service right now. Numbers are looking so much worse than the failed Marvel's Avengers. If Marvel's Avengers couldn't make it through and had higher numbers than Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League, I promise you that this game is just not going to make it at this point. Things are looking extremely grim. This is looking like a death that's going to be faster than that of Marvel's Avengers, and that was pretty bad as it is. And a big part of the problem with this game is that it's got a lot of technical issues that's preventing people from playing the game. And some of that stuff got outlined right here on the official SuicideSquadGame.com website, where they detail recent patches and upcoming patches and issues involving login, matchmaking, and mastery progression. And no doubt that's a contributing factor to the fact that not a whole lot of people are logging into this game. You can't log into a game that you can't really play, and when word spreads about the fact that a game may be unplayable based on technical issues that may plague you, that's just not something that'll inspire confidence for someone to spend time on a game, especially when it's still at full price, and especially when sort of the writing is on the wall, when it is like a dying live service. What's the point of investing all your time to something that you may not have a whole lot of fun with, at least over the long term, and that may not be worth the investment, given that the live service seems to be going into a ditch. And what that has led to is some people asking for refunds. And what is shocking is when PlayStation starts issuing refunds based on a recent report from a Reddit user who posted the following: "Wow, Sony really gave me a refund." And you can see right here the email that the user received when they asked for this refund. It reads right here: "Thank you for contacting PlayStation support regarding a game. We apologize for the delay in responding. You contacted us because an item you purchased could not be used." Again, for some with the severity of technical issues affecting this game, they straight up cannot play the game or engage with it properly. And so this user is just like, I don't want to play this game anymore, and if I can't engage with the game properly, then I feel like I should get my money back. And this was a request that was seemingly fulfilled. After reviewing your request, the purchase of Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League Digital Deluxe Edition, the $100 edition, was canceled, and the purchase price was credited to your account balance. I hope this helps you. If you have any further questions, please contact PlayStation support. So yeah, that is pretty unprecedented, because PlayStation has one of the strictest refund policies in gaming. Like, when it comes to gaming platforms, it's extremely rare for PlayStation to look at a case and say, here's your money back. That's been one of the biggest complaints surrounding the PlayStation platform for the longest time, and things have to get pretty serious for PlayStation to actually deem a refund case worth looking into and seriously consider giving people back their money. Like, a game really has to be broken. Recall that the last time something like this happened was for Cyberpunk 2077. That was such a disastrous launch that Sony not only decided to give refunds, no questions asked, but they also pulled the game entirely from the PlayStation Store until the game was in an acceptable enough state, especially because the PlayStation 4 version of the game was practically unplayable. Any version of that game that was running on last-gen hardware was just not in a good enough place to be deemed a product worth selling or charging money for. And so they pulled the product from the store and made huge headlines. But beyond that, PlayStation decided that they don't want to risk, potential litigation or backlash. And so they straight up opened up an offer for a full refund for all gamers who've purchased Cyberpunk 2077 via the PlayStation Store, who requested, no questions asked, they would just get their money back, which in the history of PlayStation, I think this is the only time something on this scale and magnitude has happened. And so seeing somebody get a refund for Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League from PlayStation, for them to seriously consider this case, like, things must be pretty bad for those who are experiencing those technical issues where the game is practically unplayable. Now, I'm not seeing a level of mass refund that Cyberpunk 2077 saw. I'm not seeing anything like an official social media post saying that we're going to open refunds entirely for anyone to get a refund if you request it for Suicide Squad. But it seems as though there are some discrete and occasional cases of people who reach out getting that refund if they make their case and are able to relay that for them the gameplay experience has been non-existent because of issues that make it unplayable. You can see in the responses here on Reddit how many people are surprised. Wow, Sony doesn't usually do that. A lot of people saying that, I mean, if frickin' Sony is issuing refund, then you really messed up. Then you really know that there's something seriously wrong about the state of a game. And for those who may be potentially considering asking for a refund, the original poster of this thread, this user who successfully managed to get a refund for the $100 edition of the game, posted the following instructions saying that this is how I decided to approach this situation. This was the process for me. I contacted PlayStation support, preferably through live chat on their website, told them about my issues, better go in as much detail as possible to ensure they know the full extent of your problems. They'll probably try to troubleshoot you. Of course, you can try, but it's not going to fix things because of the state of the game. Once I did that, I was told my case would be sent to a specialist team and would be updated via email in a few days. I assume they faced the problems I brought up, hence why they agreed to refund me. So if you're in a similar situation where the game is unplayable for you and you're willing to go through that somewhat extensive process, this is not like Cyberpunk where it is just straight up no questions asked because it's so universally known that the game's broken. This is kind of a case-by-case basis where you do kind of have to explain yourself. But if you do, and it's a situation that is common enough where even, the support team at PlayStation may encounter this unplayable Suicide Squad game situation, you may get your money back. So there is a potential tip for those who have been frustrated with the game, who have been experiencing similar technical issues. And yeah, I mean, these issues are well known and detailed by the folks at Rocksteady, and articles like this one from Forbes have highlighted how there are some it's impossible to play issues with the game, like players being unable to find players for matching, unable to progress endgame mastery levels. Obviously, the whole point of endgame is to have this sort of engaging progression loop, and if that's not working, then that defeats the purpose of the endgame. And then apparently there was a recent infinite loading bug that was hotfixed and patched, but these kinds of issues keep cropping up, or they seem to be persistent enough from launch that this is just a hard game to recommend. I mean, just from a conceptual level, it's not something that's winning people over, but when you pair that with technical issues that straight up break the game, then you get a formula for disaster. Disastrous enough that even PlayStation is kind of being flexible potentially on a case-by-case basis about issuing refunds for this game. So yeah, that's really bad news. I mean, this is the last thing this game needs, on top of the fact that there's just such dwindling interest. This is just such an obvious case of a dying live service that I'd be genuinely shocked if the game manages to stay up for a year. And even if it does, I don't imagine it's going to have legs long enough to really outlast any particular thriving live service. This is going to die off pretty soon, even with the upcoming Joker DLC and expansion where they add a new character, Joker, as playable, and obviously some new content here and there. Unless this content just straight up like overhauls the overall gameplay experience and just really spruces up what is a relatively thin game with a relatively insubstantial endgame, I don't foresee, this one character addition being able to salvage this game and being able to keep people interested. There are some aspects of this game that are positive. The combat mechanics and all these things can offer occasional fun, but the gameplay loop and just the variety of activities and the end game live service elements, the looter shooter stuff, like all that stuff's just so thin and lacking compared to other live services that do this kind of stuff better. That it's hard to imagine that the addition of Joker is really going to change the fate of this game. And it is unfortunate that this game took this direction, because a Suicide Squad game has potential to succeed, not when it's reduced to something generic like yet another live service looter shooter that pales in comparison to the ones who have been thriving for many years and have been outputting updates for a long time and have actually mastered the genre, whereas Rocksteady, they used to specialize more in single player with the Arkham series that is so seminal. For them to go in this more sort of bland, generic direction that seems to be chasing trends rather than making something that really spotlights what Rocksteady's good at. It's just a shame to see how all this turned out. But I suppose only time will tell what the future holds, and if they somehow manage to make a huge comeback in the long term, that'd be miraculous. But we've seen miracles happen. We've seen certain games that we thought were doomed forever recover. If this is among those that can join that pack, that'd be nice, I guess. But it sucks to see it start like this and to overall see the writing on the wall as something very lacking in hope. But that's my take. Let me know in the comments below what your thoughts and opinions are on the current state of Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League and reports of certain people being able to successfully get a refund from PlayStation of all platforms, who again are so strict on that front and usually don't offer refunds unless a case is severe enough. Share your thoughts in the comments below, and to be further updated on all things gaming news, reviews, and discussions, stay tuned right here on Young Yeah. I'll see you guys next time. Young out.